Neo was sitting in a chair in the dining room of the Nebuchadnezzar with his hands pressed against his face. There was a clink as a metal door slid open behind him. Trinity stood there, dressed in a plain gray shirt and black pants. "Hey," said Trinity, concerned. "It didn't work," said Neo. Trinity moved to the table and placed a hand on his back. "It's okay," she said. "We'll find another way." Neo shook his head. "I thought it would be easy," he said. Trinity sat down in the chair beside him and faced him. "Look," she said, "you don't have to save the world today." She smiled warmly. He pulled his hands away from his face. His eyes were cold and gray in the light. He wasn't looking at Trinity, but instead staring at something in the distance. "What's wrong?" she asked. His eyes narrowed. "I don't know," he said. "I didn't expect that." "The ambush?" she asked. "No," he said, turning to her. "The machines. They didn't attack me." "What do you mean?" she asked. "The machines," he said. "They could have killed me there. I was trapped. Why didn't they shoot?" Trinity nodded. "You need to rest," she said. He got up from the chair and looked down at Trinity. His eyes were deep gray in the light and distant, his forehead furrowed. He turned away from her. "Where are you going?" she asked, as he started walking toward the door. "To find Morpheus," he said, as he stepped out of the room. Morpheus was sitting in his chair on the flight deck of the ship with a mission document in his lap. He held a blue pen in his right hand. There were several blue marks on the document. "Morpheus," said Neo, as he walked onto the deck. Morpheus lowered the pen and looked at Neo. "What is it, Neo?" he asked. Neo leaned against one of the flight stations and crossed his arms over his chest. "How long have you been fighting this war?" he asked. Morpheus continued marking the document with the blue pen. "I've been the captain of this ship for 10 years, he said. "Before that, I was a lieutenant on a patrol ship. I've been fighting the machines my whole life." "Have you ever seen any strange behavior from the machines?" asked Neo. "What do you mean?" asked Morpheus. He marked the paper again, striking out an entire line of text. "Something happened today," said Neo. "The machines had me trapped, but they didn't attack me." "They must have been interrupted by something," said Morpheus. "Hunter-seekers never quit once they are in pursuit." "The machines," said Neo. "You said they became sentient sometime in the early 21st century. That's when they built the Matrix and enslaved mankind." "Yes," said Morpheus. "I don't understand," said Neo. "If they were so powerful, why did they need us?" Morpheus placed the mission document on the desk in front of him. He looked up at Neo. "We've been through this before," he said. Neo stepped forward, closing the distance between him and Morpheus. "I know," said Neo. "I just don't understand." "When we've won," said Morpheus, "there will be a time to discuss the past. For now, we need to think about the present. We need to think about winning this war." "Winning," said Neo. "Yes," said Morpheus. Neo turned slowly to the main corridor. The flight deck's ventilation system kicked on overhead, blasting cool air at him. He headed for the main corridor, his boots tapping against the metal planks of the flight deck. "Neo," said Morpheus. Neo halted in the doorway of the flight deck. He looked over his shoulder at Morpheus. "Did you manage to close the terminal?" asked Morpheus, looking at the mission document on the desk in front of him. "I was detected," said Neo. He stepped through the doorway and into the ship's main corridor.